Welcome to the Caveman podcast. Today, paranormal communication, or in layman's terms, talking with the dead. Today, it's just myself, Caveman, and one of my two co-hosts, Nikki. Butters is not on the show. He's currently working on getting a new microphone. The last one he lost over the side of the ship. I know I mentioned he was in the Arctic doing research of some nature. Thanks again, Butters, Chris, for out there doing what you do to keep us all whatever it is you do. So with that, I'm going to go right to Nikki. And what do you have to kick off with for paranormal communication? Do you have a personal story?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell it if you want.
Let's get right down to the meat and potatoes. What do you got?
Yeah, the only really situation I've ever had, I've lost a lot of people, honestly, and in the last couple of years, I've lost like 6 people. So I mean, that's a lot, and it's so heartbreaking. And the older you get, the more people you lose, I've never had to deal with a death as painful as my daughter's father, though. That was very painful. He was a very, very good dad, and he had her half of her life. So it was extremely painful to lose my 9-year-old daughter's father. He's, such a big part of my life. I talk to him a couple times a week at least, and since he was such a big part of my life, losing him has just completely changed me. And it was just horrible. I went through such a bad depression. And so he came to me in a dream just recently, honestly. This just happened like a month ago. It wasn't that long ago. But it was kind of a heartbreaking situation because I was really depressed and falling into a really bad situation. I had lost like 50 pounds and I was just wasting away and, just on the floor crying all the time. And so when he came to me, it was just at a very pivotal moment in my life that I feel like I really needed that. You know what I mean? So
understandable.
Yeah, the weird part is though I've never dreamed about Ben ever before then or since then, honestly, ever before. And this was like a really trippy dream too, because it wasn't like your typical run-of-the-mill kind of dream. It was more of like a very vivid, like he was almost here sort of situation, and just like, like the tail end of when you're sleeping and dreaming and you're kind of like half-assed asleep and awake, it was like that. And I was laying, I have a futon, so I was laying on the futon and kind of just sinking into my furniture, honestly, at this point, very depressed. And he came to me in like, I guess in a dream. It was very vivid, but yes, in a dream. And I can like say verbatim what he said. He said, and this is just how Ben talked to me too, because we had like that kind of relationship, where we just like talk to each other this way. So it makes it so much more realistic that this is definitely something he would say, and how he would talk to me, But verbatim what he said was, get your ass off the floor and take care of my kid, first of all. Second of all, this isn't you. This isn't what you were meant for. This isn't what you're here for. You're here to help the world's idea of love and happiness and kindness. This is just the person you are. So stiffen that lip, little soldier. I want you to do all the things that you've been afraid to do and figure out what you were meant to do. And then he was gone. Just as fast as he arrived, he was gone. And I didn't say anything. I didn't get one word in, but that's pretty much verbatim what he said. And ever since then, it's like there was like a fire lit in me, sort of. Like I just kind of feel like he's right. Like I wasn't meant to just waste away, like I could really help people, and the idea of happiness and kindness and love is just always the person I've been, I've always been a really nice person. And I do want to help people and make people happy, So here I am on a fucking podcast, I guess, the same month, like a little bit later. But
which I will add, that's one of the reasons why, we added you to the podcast. Now, let me say this, that obviously I knew about your daughter's father's passing. I seen it online. But that I wasn't like thinking of that. That didn't have any bearing on bringing you onto the podcast.
Like, it wasn't something.
Right, it wasn't something that I didn't know that part, but I'm just at what happened, and that wasn't at the forefront of our mind. I was just after, I think we talked online at some point. I'm like, well, what about Nikki? Having somebody that is, like you said, you're a good person, a nice person, You kind of
Thank you.
radiate that happy light. You do. You're a little different
I
than I
radiate
am.
happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm like, you know, I'm gonna ask her because this might be good. Because you
Yeah.
have me who I'm an asshole. I'm gonna put that out there in the audio. Everybody probably knows. And then you have Butters and Chris. I don't know how to categorize this guy. If you know him, you know him. If you don't,
Right.
good luck. Whatever. Somehow we mesh. But all of us have known each other for, oh God, I don't know, 25, 30 years. And Nickolle and I have known each other, Nikki, for 37 years. So
Yes,
that's a lot older than some of you little shits that are listening.
sir.
It's a long time.
It is a long time.
So yeah, that's just to solidify your point that yes, you're the light in this podcast of otherwise just spinning dark. It's a black hole. Let me tell you, you don't want to go down this road with us. But
Actually, I do. I love rabbit holes.
and talking about dreams. Now I know it's paranormal or not paranormal. I'm sorry, postmortem communication. Yeah, it would be paranormal because you're talking to the dead, of course. But in your case, he came to you in a dream. The situation was within a dream.
The
And
crazy
that
part
seems.
is I had one, but my grandma came to me as well years before. Now, this was years before, right? So this was like before Ben passed and stuff. And my grandma passed when I was 11. And she actually said pretty much almost the same exact thing back then, which was really weird because looking back, I can connect kind of the two. She just said, you're here to help people learn how to love in a different way. And for some reason, that just stuck with me all those years later. She's never come to me in a dream anytime before that or anytime after that, same situation. It was just a one-time deal, but they kind of said the same type of thing. So that was really, made me think, maybe I am meant for more than this, and because I was just giving up in life. I wasn't even caring anymore. I'd lost so many people by this point. It just really sucks. It's hard to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, some people can probably relate. I know I can. I've pretty much everybody, aunts, uncles, mother, father, all my grandparents, everybody's dead. It's just,
The older you get, the more you have to deal with that. Yes.
And we're old, so
I have a hard time with it, though. I have a really hard time. I mean, most people would have a hard time with that, but I just have a really hard time with grief. It's really difficult for me, and it just with all the people I've lost. Oh man, so many friends and Johnny and just so many people and my mother-in-law. Just it's crazy. Too many people.
I think it's a lot to do with people. I mean, it's always going to be sad for the people left here. I don't think for the ones that have already passed. I think they're fine, no matter what happens after we. Well, yeah, no matter what happens after they go, and this is the most pessimistic possibility. But even if once you go, it goes dark and there's nothing. Well, they're not. They don't know. They're not in pain. They're not suffering. They're not tortured. They just no longer exist.
Yes, suffering is for the living.
Yes. Yeah. So
it's for the living. So
if hell is a place, it could very well be right here on Earth. We don't know.
I think that's probably the case.
Yeah, I heard today that it was some song, and I don't know. I'm not gonna. But it said that if I were the devil, the Earth would be my playground, or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. But I'm like, what? It kind of makes sense because we're easily corrupted. A lot of puppets out here.
Put in the comments if you've ever had an experience with someone that came to you in a dream, because I'd like to read them. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to see if anyone else has had a vivid experience like that, where someone's come to you or given you advice of some sort, or something that maybe you took to heart, like I did with my daughter's father. I really took that to heart, and it lit a fire under me. And now I just want to come for everything that I'm too afraid to do, like be on a podcast, for example. That's something I would have never normally done. But I'm like, all right, well, let's try this. Let's see where this goes.
we threw you right into it, and it's gonna get bigger and better.
I hope so.
It's hard right now, and we're doing everything remotely. I know that the two of you guys are relatively illiterate when it comes to technology.
Yeah, you got that right, Kenny.
I'm not
No
too
shit.
far. I'm not too far ahead, so I'm not. No pat on the back for me here. Let me touch on one thing before you go on, or we go on in general. I will say, talking about dreaming, and anybody can comment on this as well, because I'm curious here. And I'm not flexing with this, all right? I'm not like some dream genie. This isn't a flex. Just hear me
Dream
out.
genie.
Yeah, I just want to be serious here. When I dream, I'm a very vivid dreamer. I dream in color. I can feel, I feel touch, sound, scent. I remember my dreams. And the weird part is the majority of the time, there is a large portion of whatever conscious I have in that dream that's aware that I am dreaming. And I
Really?
don't, yeah, I don't know how that is, but I know, like, I'm saying to myself, this isn't real, so I can do whatever I want. Like, I've been faced with terrifying things in dreams, and
And you knew?
they don't scare me at all. Like, somehow I know that, like, I'm the only thing here that's, like, real in this whatever, let's say realm, world, place, I don't care. But I'm the only thing, like, tangible, physical. So I'm not afraid of whatever it is I'm in most of my, not that every dream is something trying to kill me or something crazy, but any dream, like driving a car down a snowy hill, like I'm not afraid of going over the side and dying because I know that I'm just going to wake up.
Oh, that's fascinating because I've never had that happen. It's just always like I'm terrified or something, and then I wake up.
See,
Like,
that's the
I don't
thing.
remember my dreams. I really don't.
I don't.
Most of the time.
Maybe that's common. I don't know if what I experience is common or not. Like I know my wife says that she doesn't remember anything she dreams, and that's like 99%. So
Yeah, I don't either, really. Unless it's very vivid, like the one with my grandma or the one with Ben, unless it's something like that. But then, yeah, once in a great while, once in a blue moon, I might have, a dream that I'll remember, like maybe the tail end of it or something. I never remember the whole fucking dream. Do you ever remember your whole dreams? Like, do you remember like from beginning to end all the time when you dream? Because I don't. That's
a lot of the time. Like I can pretty much tell you now. The dreams are crazy because they're dreams. But
yeah.
I can tell you from how they started to how they ended. And like I was just telling my wife and son one that I had that they were in that was just a out of place, off the wall dream. And I remember it like I was watching. I was in that movie, so I remember it happening, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's quite a few of them that I've remembered, and I remember them because I guess they were exciting to me. They stood out, or some were kind of eerie, and that's one that I will get to, which is
dreams
also
are like you're just in a building all of a sudden, but you don't know where the fuck you are. But in your dream, you're thinking, "I live here," but you're like, "No, I've never fucking been here before." That's weird, right? That happens all the time to me. I'm always like, when I do remember my dreams, it's always like you're in a building, but you don't know, you've never been there before, but in your mind, in the dream, you live there. When I dream, I always have that happen to me. Does that ever happen to you?
oh,
You just don't know where the fuck you are, but in your dream, that's where you live, but you've never been there. And it's like, well, then how the fuck would I think of that before? It's so bizarre. Yeah, dreams are weird.
Well, let me say on that. I don't think exactly, but you've just touched on two things that are known as, dreaming of something that you, where you feel like you belong in the dream, but you don't know what it is like if you've heard of like past life regression, like pulling up memories from previous lives.
Oh, maybe I lived there in a previous life.
Now, is that real? I don't know, but I'm saying that I've heard those stories told as such. And there's
Is that what that means?
yeah, past life regression, I believe. And there's now, I'm not claiming any of this. I'm just saying, this is how you look it up. And then there's astral projection. I think I'm pronouncing that right, or maybe I just sound like a dipshit. But either way, if you try to look it up, it'll pop up. Astral projection, and that's kind of where, like if you're sleeping, your body is still where it is, but your quote unquote soul or conscious or energy or whatever it may be can actually then leave your body and travel to.
Ooh.
Now, again, I'm not saying that's real either, everyone. Not that it's the craziest thing going on. I don't know if you've watched the news recently. All right,
Right.
shit's crazy. So,
Really
that might
is.
not be so crazy. There's a lot of things out there, but that's two
But that
paths that it
happens
could
so
go down.
often to me that I just assumed everybody had that happen. Like literally every dream that I do remember, I'm somewhere that I've never been, but yet in the dream I know I belong there. So what is that about? I just assumed everyone did, but you don't dream like that? So maybe it is
No,
past lives. Like I'm like in a
no,
car that I've never been in, but in the dream I know I belong there. Like what am I doing here? Like but that's happens so often. I just assumed everybody had that happen to them. I
no.
don't know.
So
Maybe I'm different.
everybody knows, and I'm going to say to Nikki, Nikki, I'm going to have you step back from the
Step
microphone
backwards.
just a little
Okay.
bit.
I just talk loud. Or
Now,
help
so
them out.
everyone knows this could possibly be the culprit. We've had an ongoing problem with Butters too. Now, Nikki is naturally loud. Why, I don't know. Butters is German, so he grew up in a house pretty much where, they yell when they're whispering. It's just normal when you're German. Everything is yelling when you're German. That's how they sound. So he's fucking loud, and whenever he talks, I think the sound, like I've tried telling him, and I know he's like listening to me and he's staring at the wall and not processing a damn thing I'm saying. But when I say to him, you got to turn it down a bit because when you yell, the app is dampening the sound. It only goes like, I don't know what I said, 160 or 264 kilobytes it can process, the bandwidth of audio, or the whole thing compressed. That's counting the audio. But either way, however loud he is, those decibels are way beyond what this thing can process. So that's the situation with that, is that being too loud is a detriment to sound quality for right now, because we're using, for
I
anybody
apologize. I'll
listening,
stand back.
no, you're fine. Anybody on YouTube, I would say Spotify, but I've not loaded to Spotify yet. I'm not comfortable using this shit audio to go to Spotify. YouTube is fine. YouTube is full of garbage, and it doesn't matter. No, but I'm not going to take anything and put it over as an authentic podcast on to Spotify until the audio is where I want it. And it's not even at the right quality for me. I don't like how these headphones make me sound. I need to find something with some sort of equalizer component so I can cut out, let's cut down the bass, put the treble up, whatever. However it works. I don't know how many. What is that, Gary telling us about one of his dreams of a past life? He was a wolf, previous life.
Never know.
He could have been. Little dogs have that big dog persona, which I can relate to with the whole Napoleon complex. Yeah, it's real, people. But I will give myself some credit. Unlike Napoleon, I'm not a warmongering, murderous piece of shit. So, there's a pat on the back.
All right, so I'm the only one that has those weird location dreams, or somewhere that you think you meant to be, but you're not. See, I thought everyone dreamed like that. I don't know. Anyone else, put it in the comments if you're listening. I'd like to hear other people's stories. I want to hear other people's stories, like what they have experienced, whether it's with a loved one that's passed away, or just put it in the comments when this was loaded to YouTube anyway.
Any type of communication with the dead. Like sometimes if you're awake and you get I know people play like the Ouija board, and I won't go too far into that.
No
a lot
way.
of us will disagree. Some people will say, oh yeah, you can talk to spirits, and
no, I'll run the opposite direction. No.
Whereas myself, I would sleep with the Ouija board because I feel that it's a board game made by Milton Bradley or Parker Brothers or one of those guys that made Chutes and Ladders also made that. And it's I'm sorry to anybody that hears. I don't view it as a tool to communicate with anything. I'm going to just leave it there. I'm going to step back.
Well, I was like 12 years old. I had some experiences with that, so I don't know. Just from my childhood when I was young.
I know, and that
was the thing to do in the 80s and 90s. There's nothing else to do, so board games were a big thing.
Now, if everybody could sit there and that stupid thing would move on its own, that may be something. But if you have to put your hands on...
You always had an asshole friend that would just do it. Everyone has that asshole friend that just moves it and then, like, freaks you out. I guess I had an asshole friend that did that, so it's
Yeah, something.
it probably didn't move on his own.
But let's chalk that up to that would also be communicating with the dead, if in
Oh,
fact,
true.
which I think that's what it's intended for. I mean, it does say for, I don't know, entertainment purposes or whatever the disclaimer is they have to put on there, but that's on there. Now I'm going to let you just keep going with what you want before I dive into anything, because I have a couple of things, but.
Well, I want to hear your stories.
Okay, well, let me tell you one thing before let me say I've dreamt of dead quote unquote loved ones or people I've known. Let me start with saying family members. I've had dreams with them in it. And like I said, all my dreams are very vivid, so it's real like they're there. But not every dream has been like, let's say, a warm or a welcome kind of experience. I guess in some of them, some of the perceptions, the dream, past loved one, whatever it may be, neurons firing or communication from beyond, I'll leave that up to the listener. But, not every situation was a favorable one for me. They kind of played the antagonist in the dream.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is that to say that I didn't always have the best relationship with everybody? Sure, but I'm not. If you know me, I'm not the kind of guy that carries baggage. I'm 45. Nobody, including you listening, gives any shit about my baggage, and I'm not going to have you check it onto the flight for me. I don't give a shit either. I'll die with it.
Not onto the flight.
I'll die with it. Like, I don't give a shit. But
well, how many experiences have you had? How many?
Oh God, quite a few. I mean, I can probably recall near a dozen of people that passed.
Wow. That came to you in dreams?
Yes, some of them. Now, all right, some were friends, some were families, some were under the other category. You know what I mean? Like, and some of the experiences were outright. I mean, I don't know how you want to put it without sounding blissful, maybe. They were like comforting. Some experiences were outright kind of unsettling and creepy.
Would you owe someone money so they came to?
No, nothing that simplistic. But I'll give one story once we're ready to go into it. And my story is it's kind of weird because the person I was dreaming of, I don't know, but I do. And you'll see what I mean when I get into it here. I want to make sure that we anything you want to add before I dive into that one dream, because I don't want to leave you hanging with a thought that you want to get out there.
No, I was done with those. I was just saying that I think those are the only people that have come to me in dreams that I knew that passed away. And it's like I said, it's weird because I never dreamt of these people ever. In the 10 years I knew Ben, I never had a dream about him, ever. And I haven't since then either. But it kind of like I said, it pulled my fat out of the fire and kind of lit something in me that now I just want to, live. It's like before I just didn't care if I lived or not. And that's a really sad position to be in when you get to that point in life where it's like so much bad has happened that you just don't even care anymore if you live. And it's like now all of a sudden I just want to live, and that's a good thing, I guess.
I hear you. I think a lot of us go through points where it's it's already bad enough when you feel that life's only point is to give it a point, and that's my mentality. So
it's constant suffering.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think the only comfort in that is not knowing, but it would be knowing to the person who believes it, is that you're suffering for a reason, that this is temporary, and once the suffering ends, there's something else. Now,
I don't know.
Is there? Who knows? We're never going to answer that here. I don't know if you've heard this podcast before, but you're not going to get any answers. Nobody. You're going to know less when you're done.
When you got out here, Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Just dookie shooters here.
Dookie
Shooting the
shooters.
shit.
That's I'll give you the dream. Now, let me tell everyone, previous podcast done on YouTube is the Dream Interpretation podcast where I covered this. I'm going to touch on it here as well because I guess technically it would be communication with the dead if, in fact, it's how I perceive it. Now, you'll see what I mean when I get into it. Here's a crazy dream. I'm in the bathroom. It is my bathroom. It's a place that I lived with somebody at a certain point in my life, and I remember getting out of the shower, and so obviously, you know what I'm wearing if I get out of the shower,
Right.
and I walk over to the mirror, which is the opposite side of the room, and I go to look in the mirror at first. It's me, whatever. I look down. I'm turning the sink on, and then I look up again. I'm looking at myself in the mirror, but it's not me.
Wow.
Now it looks like me, and it feels dead real. And most dreams, like I know I'm dreaming, but this was unsettling, and it almost felt like I don't want to, like the air felt like it was tangible, like it was you were in it. And
Wow.
the person I was looking at looked so much like me, but it was
But it wasn't you.
right. Let me say before I tell you it. There's no sexual component to this dream. But with that said, I look in the mirror and I'm female, for obvious reasons. I can tell this. Now I'm kind of freaked out, but I'm not because I kind of know, but I don't. And let me tell you what I'm thinking. And I came to this, I don't know if it was during or after this whole thing, but now before I was born, I did have, I would have had a sister that had passed shortly after birth.
Oh.
And that was before me. And so, you know, I don't know anything about the situation. Like I said, my parents are gone. My family.
Your mom is gone?
Yes. Yep. My
Oh,
mom
Kenny, I'm
passed.
so sorry. I didn't know that. Oh, I remember your mom so well, too. Oh, Kenny, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I didn't know that.
She had brain cancer and eventually ended up in a nursing home and then back at Wilson where.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I was 32, so
Oh, I didn't
you
even
know.
know that.
And I find it so crazy when people my age are like, I know people that are in their 60s that still have their parents, and
Yeah.
that world seems unimaginable to me. Losing my mother at 32 and my father at 14. I don't know how it feels to have somebody there to guide you because I've always had to make my own way,
Just
always.
yourself, right?
And
Yeah.
but in the dream, like I said, I looked in the mirror and it wasn't me. It looked like me, but it was female. And now telling me what I had just told you, that's who I assumed either at the point or after the dream that it was. I
That you were your
mean,
sister?
yeah, like that would have been her, and I was her. Like I looked in the mirror, and then I kind of just like took a breath, and I sat down next to me on the toilet, which had the lid down, and I kind of just, you know, I put my hands on myself to feel if I was real, that I really was something else, and then I'm kind of just, I sat back and I thought, like, when I leave this room, if this is really how I appear to other people, how am I going to explain this? And then I kind
You
of
didn't
got
know
up.
you were dreaming in this one? This particular dream, you didn't know you were dreaming?
Not completely. No, it was one of the weird, like, I'm like, how am I going to explain this? Did I think, how am I going to explain this in the dream, or how am I going to explain this period? I don't know, because this one kind of caught me, you know, there was a feeling to it. It wasn't just the normal, like, I'm logical and I know I'm here and this is what I'm doing type shit.
Yeah.
But so is that communication? Maybe. I don't know,
Maybe.
because it wasn't something that just randomly crossed my mind. I don't know what it was at the time. Near 30 years later, I don't wasn't thinking of it. the situation or of her or anything. And so I don't know. I mean, I've been on the brink of the afterlife a couple of times, but I've never visited for length and then come back to tell about it. So
any experiences like where you almost died, or no?
yeah. I made a few bad choices in my time.
Like,
Like I said, I got on the straight and narrow here, having my son when I was 27. So that turned me around. But that was my one major dream. And I look for people's insight on it, and I don't know. I'm sure other people have had a similar dream. I've never looked it up on the internet. No.
Was anything spoken? Because that's in my dreams, nothing's ever spoken. It's weird. Like there's no, unless someone's talking to me, like, or like Ben or my grandma or something came and talked to me. Usually in my dreams, there's never any words spoken. It's always just you're walking around or something's going on around you, but there's never anything said for some reason. I just wondered if everyone else was like that too, or if that's just a me thing. Apparently, it's just a me thing.
Which, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the thing, I think, with dreams is you only hear what is directed at you or coming from you directed to something else. Like, you don't really, you're kind of locked in tunnel vision. You really don't hear anything outside of your direct conversation, typically. That's the same for me. And so everybody knows that's not everything. Like, dreams are not the only component of communicating with the dead. This is just where we started from. Like, that's scratching the surface. There's all sorts of things, and I'm going to touch on some of them. Other experiences you may have had. Was there anything other than people coming back to you in dreams?
Experiences, you mean with people that have passed? No.
Yeah, like anything ghostly or just a dream?
I've never had anyone come to me and what do you mean? Like you've had someone come to you that wasn't in a dream? That's freaky.
No, I don't know what I would do in that scenario. I've never been like absolutely awake and seen something. I've never seen anything. I've camped way out in national forests and stuff that were near old grave sites that are unmarked. Like, I've never seen anything that I don't know. Maybe it's not I'm not the one that's here to see it, or maybe it's not there to be. Maybe it's not here to be seen. I know that people underestimate the human mind greatly and what it can create. But on the same coin, but the opposite side, I'm also a firm believer in mind over matter is absolute bullshit. Like, your perception may change the experience for you, but the perception doesn't change the experience in itself.
Yeah, I said words have power, and like, you can, I don't know, I just believe that you should use your words to
I try to tell Chris that all the time. Tell Chris all the time,
you can't do something, just say you can do it, and I just always say words have power. But I do understand your point, though.
And that's right, because they do have power. You're motivating yourself to physically change the situation or somebody else to do so.
Yes.
Like, which is speaking something into reality. It's just the manifestation is real. The means in which the manifestation comes about is where people argue. You know what I mean? One person took the left road, one took the right, but you end up in the same place. So
I don't know if that's meant to be. It's things have a way of just working out sometimes, and like you don't even try, it just kind of works out.
Yeah, and again, like, two sides to that. There's so, we could go so deep into these conversations.
Yeah,
because we don't script these things or anything. So it's just the two of us today. We don't have Butters here. And if you're listening, Chris, we love you. We're looking forward to having you back on. You can tell us some movies that you've seen, you know? All right.
Yep.
I'm not going to live that down. And sorry if my voice keeps, like I said, I'm yelling all day while taking pictures and shit, and then I'm here. I do these things anymore. I've been doing it for 3 weeks now, so I'm yelling at a computer screen for 3 hours a day. I'm going hoarse.
Yeah. Yeah. My voice was hoarse yesterday from a 3-hour podcast.
I can't
I
wait
was
till we get a
laughing so
couple.
much that my freaking stomach hurt. I was laughing so much. I'm like,
We did have a good laugh, and that
yeah.
was at Butter's expense, I will say.
Well, I don't know why you're picking on him. Poor Chris. Sorry, Chris.
He's all right. He's been busting my balls for like 35 years now, so he'll be all right.
All right, so
You can-
sorry, go ahead. What were you saying about?
Oh, okay. This is a common occurrence, everyone. We lose track of what we were saying
We're just
because
going to ramble because we both have
we're just
ADHD. I
gonna
apologize.
throw this. Yeah, me too. I'm gonna throw this journal,
Just kidding.
and we're just gonna wing it. Okay, one thing. Now I mentioned my dream, so that was pretty much that. If anybody, no one's gonna hear this. If anybody ever hears it, they can. That would be interesting. I would love to know honestly if someone's ever experienced seeing themselves as somebody else.
I don't remember
But
ever
the,
having a dream like that. That's intense, though. I don't know. You didn't know you were dreaming while you were dreaming it.
yeah, and
Were
like
you
I
like
said,
freaked
normally,
out? Was it scary to you, or was it just like confusing to you?
more so confusing. Like I wasn't afraid of anything. I think, looking back, most people in a situation, you probably should have had some sort of fear to find yourself in a different body.
I would
But
have
I
been
think,
freaking.
there wasn't, not to the degree that you would think. And let me move past the dream thing a little bit. I want to say what got me into the whole subject here of postmortem communication, fancy way of saying talking to the dead, is now I watch random YouTube videos or read through articles and I came across this guy. Have you ever heard of the story of Charles Peck?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, this I don't have all of it in front of me, but I think he worked for like Delta Airlines. He was in the San Fernando Valley, taking a train ride north to meet his wife or his fiance, Andrea, because they were going to get married once they lived in the same city or whatnot. So he's taking this train north through the San Fernando Valley. It's a commuter train. It's like a metro rail or something it was called. And long story short, because the engineer was on his phone, ironically, and you'll see why this is ironic when I get to the point of the story. The engineer was on his phone talking to kids that were texting him back for the previous station. That's a quote from news articles. Now, what that means, that's not the point of this story. I don't know. I'm not even going to dive into it. Like, why is the engineer talking to kids from the previous station through text message? Different story, different podcast. Probably not one you're going to have here. So that's the thing. And because he was doing that, compound with the fact that there are safeguards on most engines of all kinds. Like on this one specifically, there's a whistle and lights on the panel that if you blow by one of these, you ever seen the red and green lights on the side of the tracks?
Yeah.
Okay, those are to tell approaching trains that if it's red, there's another train existing in that stretch of track between that light and the next one. So if it's red, you're to slow down. I don't know if you call in or what, maybe you have to come to a stop, but that means you're trying to stop because there's another train occupying that section of track, and you obviously don't want two trains on the same track. Now, they went by this light, the engineer. He had another guy with them. I don't know. They got 2 engineers on board. One's a something else. Not a conductor. I don't know what they are now. But they're up front. They blow by the first one, and they're not paying attention to it. So it doesn't trigger this whistle because they've taped the whistle up, so it doesn't bother them. And it didn't trigger the emergency lights because the light bulbs were blown out. And, well, what a big deal. Why bother doing a pre-trip inspection? It's only a train. So this train blows right through that, goes through a series of switches where it ends up on the southbound track, where eventually it's going to collide going 40 miles an hour with a Union Pacific freight train also going 40 miles an hour. Now, the Union Pacific train was not at fault whatsoever. They had no idea that these morons crossed over onto the wrong track and were heading right for them. So by the time they both saw each other, they applied their brakes when they saw each other. It takes a freight train, it's at least this one, for what it weighed, it would take a mile at 40 miles an hour to stop. It was pushing a lot of weight, pulling a lot of weight. And so 40 miles an hour, hitting 40 miles an hour, that's the equivalent of an 80 mile an hour crash.
Did this actually happen? Or are you talking about, I'm so confused right now. Are you talking about a dream, or did this actually happen?
This happened. This is a story that happened.
I'm so confused right now. I'm like, what?
No. This happened in the San Fernando Valley in California. This no dream. This was real.
Oh, okay.
It was close to 25 people died. I think all of them were in the first car. Now, the engines for both trains kind of derailed. The first car on the passenger train was just pretty much obliterated. The other ones were lucky enough. Obviously, you still felt the impact, but they kind of jumped the rails and avoided any like head-on collision or crash. They didn't crunch up or anything like that. Now, this is where I know I'm telling you the long version. I'm not good at the short version. And this is where Charles Peck comes in and the whole communication with the dead. He was in the first car. So, yeah, you probably figure what happened to him. And
he passed away?
Yeah, everybody, I think except for one person that was between car 1 and 2. I don't know if that means like the little hallway between it. They all died. Now they didn't know this at first because he was going, like I said, to meet his fiance. She found this out on the news on her way to the train station to meet him. So she calls other family. His brother, his stepmother came. They're all at the train station along with other families waiting for the news to come in from people on site, like the list of people that are dead, the list of people that made it out, and who's going to what hospital and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And, eventually it's pretty much assumed everybody's dead. Like, it's just, there's nothing going on in there. Until his fiance, followed by everybody else, starts getting phone calls from his phone. So they're like, and they answer it. It's like dead silence. You might hear like a wind or something, and then it just hangs up. It won't respond to any questions. If you try to call back, it goes right to voicemail. And this happened for 11 hours, almost 12 hours after the crash, until about 3:30 a.m. the last call came in. Now, as they started coming in, they showed this to local authorities there in whatever, in the San Fernando Valley, wherever they were at. And they're like, okay, well, this probably indicates that he's alive. Like, this turns now from a cleanup to a rescue mission.
Right.
They dispatch another 125 firefighters to the scene, and they're ripping apart this car. And long story short, for this section, they get in there, and one guy, this is all well, these phone calls are just going crazy, calling everyone in his family. Make a note of this. They're only calling.
Was it just one person?
Nope. It was calling only his loved ones. The thing was, there's no mention of any calls from anybody that was outside of his quote-unquote loved ones. Now, he worked for Delta Airlines. I'm sure this guy had business calls. There were probably people that were acquaintances. other numbers saved in his phone that had nothing to do with, human contact. It was like his pharmacy or something else. It didn't call any of these things. There were no reports of that. It only called like his brother, his son, his fiance, like only his loved ones. And
Yeah, closest people, yeah.
and this stopped right before they got into the train and they located his body. Now, the first firefighter that saw him, he looked intact. Now, they're like, okay, well, there's been calls going through. Here he is. This is a miracle. Like all this people just ravaged everywhere. And he's buckled in and he's banged up, but he's in one piece. They go over to check his pulse. He's ice cold. He's like stiffening. He's gone. He's been gone.
He's been gone since the beginning, you think?
Well, yes, and I'll tell you why. Because they did the coroner did a full autopsy. His internal organs were jello, and his spinal column was severed.
Ooh.
This
Yeah,
guy
he didn't make it. He wasn't alive.
He was not placing phone calls for 11 hours. And
Did they find his phone?
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
So they know that phone was with him because over the course of that 11 hours, authorities had worked with Verizon, which was his carrier, and Verizon kept pinging. Now, what they do is they triangulate. They use 3 different towers, and they keep moving the signal closer and closer, judging strength to see where it's at. And they located that phone to a certainty of however many feet within that car over and over and over near the end of this. So that phone was in there. And at the end, when they finally got in there to him, just before that, there was no triangulation. The signal was gone. They looked everywhere. They found everything. They were cleaning up the scene. Never found the cell phone.
Wow.
Verizon never got a further ping on it. They just assumed that it was completely obliterated in this crash.
Wow.
And this goes a little deeper, but the rest of this is speculation. So this guy obviously died, and they think that he was calling from, I guess, the afterlife, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And he was calling his loved ones. Now, this isn't the only account of this. This is one of the most notable. But there are several cases. There was a huge flood that knocked a train off the rails, and it was near India, Sri Lanka, maybe it was, that there was this huge crash. I think the other one was in Sri Lanka, where they had reports that were as far as a week later of similar things happening, phone calls, text messages to loved ones. Now, this can happen, like your phone can be damaged to a point where it'll then start placing calls on its own. It goes through, however it does it, it's just automatically dialing. Now, I don't know if it does that from the hardware, it does it within the system, which would explain calling back and there not
how would you
being
explain calling different people though for like 11 hours like that?
Right.
And
Right.
you would have to like get on your phone, unlock it if you have a lock, so to speak. A lot of people do. So unlock it. Then you would have to go to like the contacts. Click on the button to call, and that's like a lot of steps for it to just be accidental. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty coincidental.
Right. They were thinking it was something that the possibility was something in the hardware that can just trigger automatic redials. But the thing that kind of adds credibility to it being him reaching out and not the former is that why would it only call his loved ones in succession over and over? It never reached out.
Exactly. Why not like a pizza place or like, I don't know, anybody else? Why was it just the people that you're the closest to?
And that was the conclusion that a lot of people, including myself, had come to. Even if they were the most prominently dialed, over the course of 11 hours, somebody else would have reported that call because everybody has heard of this case by now, especially everybody that knew him. So
yeah, a fiance that was waiting to hear about him, and she was getting calls too.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. And she was like right there waiting. Oh, geez.
So that was one of the stories that were, and I'm going to add something to this because Butters and I, Chris, aka Butters, We talked about this previously, and one of the things, now this is totally separate, but it goes along with him placing these calls. There was an author, I don't remember if it was the 70s or 80s. The name doesn't really so much matter. I don't have it here in front of me. I don't even know if I'll link it. I don't think anybody cares. But the point is, this guy wrote something about, it was a book about contact with the dead, and it had mentioned something, or maybe this was a separate book, I don't know, called The Garden. And his claim was that when you die, you go to this, for lack of a better explanation, a place called the Garden. It's like a waiting room for heaven. Again, don't shoot the messenger or get excited. I'm just the guy, sharing the information. I'm not claiming anything. So the Garden is the waiting room, and that's where he went into, hey, this is where people place all these calls from. And then there had been a few cases after that where a man came on. He was talking to some lady who does a podcast, but she only speaks to people with near-death experiences or that have come back from the dead. I don't know. And one guy claims that when he had died, where he had went, and he doesn't know about any of this or probably even that book. This was just totally separate. I just happened to watch a lot of odd shit, so I'm putting these together myself. He talked about when he died, he went to a place that was like this like beautiful garden, like you'd see in England at a castle type thing, statues and fountains and yada yada. And people he knew were there doing things. Their age and whatnot varied depending on when he knew them. And this is his thing. Don't quote me on this. He was saying that Jesus was there, over in the distance on the side, waiting to speak to him. But he was interacting with other people first. Eventually, he did go over and so on. And maybe I'll link this if I can find it, if I feel there's any interest. I don't know. I know that people can look up these things if they are interested. This might just be the catalyst for people to do so. But I mean, take that as you will. That's the major story that caught my attention, and a couple of things that shot off from it that I went down a rabbit hole and eventually realized I was doing what we always do with everything. Just jump in the hole.
Going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
I'd love to think that that's really how it is. I'd love to think that when you pass away, it's so beautiful that you don't even have words right now for it. You can't even explain how gorgeous this place is when you die. Like, the lights are so bright that you can't even put into words because we live in a different realm and, and you've never seen it before. But I'd love to think that things are so beautiful and so bright and so wonderful, and inviting, I'd love to think that that's what happens when you die. But of course, nobody really knows, unless you died before. I mean, near-death experiences are pretty fucking cool, though. I'd love to hear some people's stories about that. You got any near-death experiences? You've seen, anything at the afterlife? What you believe in? That's interesting. So put that down in the comments if you're on YouTube. Yeah, I'd love to hear the stories. I really would. It's very fascinating to me, but that's just near-death experiences. But yeah, I don't know about a waiting room or any of that, or Jesus or any of that shit. But I mean, if I'd love to think that there's the amount of beauty you can't even put into words because it's something you've never seen in this world. That's what I would love to believe, but who the hell knows?
I'd agree with you. I think I would love to believe it, but then again, what I believe, and I still find comfort in that. And my painting isn't quite as bright as Nikki's, so
everything's bright with me. So.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm
Except
the shadow.
My brain.
That's all right. I'm not too sharp over here. That's not why we do this.
So, what was what you were saying about the other one?
Which one?
You were getting into a different story, and then we veered off, I think.
Oh God, that doesn't happen often. I probably couldn't even tell you what story that was. I know I'd mentioned the text messages that came in weeks later or whatnot from the train crash. As a result,
weeks later, you didn't say weeks later.
Well, this is a different story.
Oh, okay.
This was the train crash that was a result of the tsunami in Sri Lanka that happened in like 2008.
Yes, that's what you were talking about. Yes, that story.
Yeah, that was a whole separate story, and I didn't really have much to that. That was where I shot off from the Charles Peck story down the rabbit hole and ended up, in Sri Lanka reading about this. And I'm like, there's no end to this. I'm going to keep going. It's going to be 3 hours later. I'm going to be reading about another guy that saw Jesus in his front yard. I don't know where to go with it. So.
Yeah, I would love to hear people's stories about what they experienced, and I just find it fascinating. I really do. Anything about afterlife experiences or, dreams that were very vivid and someone came to you in a dream, would like to hear that. That'd be interesting.
I'd really love to hear some people. Now, I've heard everybody that's talked to me knows that I'm the skeptic, which is probably why when we talk about anything paranormal, and we're not all paranormal on this anymore, we've shied away. But when I do talk about anything of that nature, people that are paranormal tend to not interact with people that question anything they believe, because when you can't back something up unequivocally, how are you going to argue that? It's just like, I can tell you that dragons are real, but if I don't show you a fucking dragon, guess what? Hey,
You're
guess
wrong.
What? The burden of proof always lies on the claimant. That's just how it works.
Yes,
I didn't write that. And I'd love to believe too. Like, people think because I'm skeptical that I'm just like, oh, you're dark and empty. Yeah, maybe, but I don't want to be. I'd like to be there with Nickolle running around in the colorful shit, having a good time.
Me. So.
If you get there and there's rainbows and shit, save me a spot. Like, I'm all for it. I don't know how to get there. That's why I always
word it that way. Like, I would like to believe this because I don't know for sure. Nobody fucking knows, So
yeah,
I would just like to believe it's like that, because why would I want to think anything else? But I don't know. It kind of scares me to think that you got like eternity to live, I don't know, somewhere else. I'm just assuming that we're here on a mission for some reason. Then it's like we level up. It's like a video game. It's like, and then you go to your next life.
Maybe. I mean,
you take everything you learn from this one, and then, like you say, people are old souls. Like, there's people that are old souls, it's because they've lived so many lifetimes, and you just kind of, accumulate all this information, and then you just keep going.
That's exactly what the Buddhists believe, is that reincarnation, that you live this life, and you are reincarnated according to how much you've either descended or ascended in your journey, mentally, spiritually, until you reach the level where you now, fulfill whatever requirements, and then you finally stop reincarnating and you get to enter whatever their equivalent of heaven would be. So, can people say they're crazy? Well, guess what? There's Scientologists and there's Mormons out there. And there's people that created the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. That's real. Of course, it's also satire, but it is real. I'm just saying that anything's possible. Just because nothing is possible, it seems. Everything seems all seems cut and dry, right?
Right.
So like we talked about yesterday, so that makes everything equally as possible. There's got to be something. So everything came from something. So. Everything has to go to something. It can't just be nothing to nothing. Like, that's the whole point A to point B. You started with nothing. Oops, here's all this shit. And then you go back to nothing.
You know how many times in my life I've asked, what the hell are we doing here? Like, what is this?
I think I ask that every day. I wake up like, what the hell am I? Like, I didn't die in my sleep? Come on. What the hell is this shit?
Yet? I want off this fucking ride.
It's fucking Monday. What are you doing? But, as usual, the crickets are here. Tumbleweeds and shit. It's just you and me. We're out here in we're in the beautiful garden, just the two of us.
The garden, we're in that
screaming at clouds.
Garden.
Screaming at the clouds, and there's nobody here with us. Butters, we're missing you. You're not watching, because I know if you were, you'd probably be chiming in, even though you don't usually write too much. Like anybody that does listen at this point, Butters, I'm not going to make a funny joke about an Arctic research station. He's waiting to get another microphone that his wife's bringing back from her job. So we've had a lot of issues with audio.
Coming out of the turtle shell. All right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's entirely the case. I know that
It's probably his phone.
the big thing, well, the phone is crap, and she has confirmed that, but it's Facebook and the audio compression, and I have the two loudest co-hosts possible. You guys are like sirens. Let me tell you, man.
I'm seriously halfway across my fucking apartment. I'm still loud. Here, I'll try to move my headphones away. That way I can, it's just because I can't hear myself because my headphones suction my freaking ears. So I end up being louder, but I'll try to not be so loud.
Well, talking about communicating with the dead, maybe being that loud, you're piercing the veil. They might hear you.
Cemetery across the street. We're all going to start coming over.
Yeah, like,
the coffee on, we're staying.
Like, can you shut up? We're trying to sleep over here,
We're supposed to be resting in peace, damn it. Calm down over there.
But
here, I'll move.
I don't want to say in closing because I don't know where we're going yet, but maybe that's what I have. I have a personal experience. You've given a personal experience. I went over briefly something that was big in the news back in, I'm going to say 2012 or God, when was it? No. It was 2008. Okay, this was the story. Charles Peck was September 12th, 2008. The Sri Lanka one, I don't know. That's not the point when it happened. The point is that it did happen. The claims of the text messages and stuff, I couldn't find too much. I'm not really balls deep in the news over in Sri Lanka, so I did what I could with the old interweb. Yeah, I went on to the machine here and typed in the words and things came up, and that's what I used. And with every one of these podcasts, and I'm using that term lightly too, this is usually 1, 2, or 3 people sort of just screaming into the void about any number of topics. And you see, I've already lost where I was going with this. That's all we got. It's not so much a podcast.
Well, it's been like an hour, so that's a good time frame. If we go too long into it, it's just way too long. It's like too much. But you don't want to do too little either. So we'll do like an hour or so.
How long have we been into this one?
An hour.
Are you
over an hour?
Really?
Yeah, it was like 1:30. Remember? Because we were supposed to go on at 1, but you were running late. So it was like 1:30, and now it's 2:46. So
all right, so I think we're going to cut you people off just because I guess when we get talking, an hour goes by in 15 minutes. Right. And we have a whole thing going on. We have a whole thing going on with time. I'm not going to bring it up in this podcast. It wouldn't be right. Butters isn't here, and we'll get to it in the next one, probably. I don't know. Do you have anything in closing, Nikki, that you want to...
No, I told my stories. I want to hear other people. I want to hear what other people have experienced because I'm very fascinated by this. I want to hear about dreams. If you have any, and this is when this is on YouTube, of course, not on Facebook. But once this is on YouTube, I want to hear about dreams. If anyone has any near-death experiences where, any afterlife, crazy stuff that's happened, I want to hear about it. So that would be great if you guys could write in the comments and let us know. That would be fascinating.
Absolutely. Especially dreams where maybe you have seen yourself in a mirror or some other way and you were not yourself and what happened from that. I'm interested in that. And again, just like Nikki said, do it on YouTube. Don't write shit here in the comments on Facebook. Nobody cares about Facebook. All right, Facebook.
You just need to record it somewhere.
Yeah. Like, use Facebook for watching cats and AI videos that people over 50 think are real. That's for you guys. All right.
I've seen some crazy AI shit Violet showed me. I was like, what is this? Like, oh man.
I miss the real world. I miss
the
it.
Real world. Yeah, I know, right? Everything's different now.
Well, guys, on that, we are old. It's over.
I'm going to be 44 in 3 weeks. Ugh.
what is it called? Like exit stage right? Is that what they say when you're done with the play? So I'm gonna sign us off. Caveman Podcast. That was Postmortem Communication, and we've covered more than that because it's been an hour. Layman's terms, talking to the dead. Myself, my co-host Nikki. Nikki, anything you want to say to the people before I?
No, I just want to hear stories. I want to hear people's stories. So we can go over it in another podcast. So
tell your stories on YouTube. And with that, cheerio.
Have a good day, peeps.